Welcome back to The Explainer. We're breaking down the epic round of 16 matchups from the 2026 World Cup. We are diving deep into the tactics, the on-pitch drama, and the score predictions derived straight from our source material. But before we jump in, please like, subscribe, and share Football Flash Live channel for more updates because every single viewer matters to us. Man, what a phenomenal round of 32 we just witnessed. Looking at these final 16 teams, we are in for an absolute treat.
To make sense of these 8 massive games, we're splitting things up into 4 core themes: host nations under pressure, the European heavyweights, South American giants tested, and finally, the cinematic wildcards. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with Section 1, host nations under pressure. First up, Canada is facing a massive, absolutely crucial test against a dominant Moroccan side. Now, you kind of have to love the stark contrast in styles here. Jesse Marsch has Canada playing this completely fearless brand of football. But here's the catch. They have a glaring vulnerability. They are going to desperately miss the injured Ismail Kone in the midfield battle. To survive against Morocco's midfield control, which is spearheaded by Brahim Diaz and those relentless overlapping runs from Hakimi, Canada is going to have to lean heavily on Jonathan David. They need his sheer physicality up top to just disrupt the Moroccan center backs.
But is that physicality gonna be enough? Well, the data suggests probably not. Morocco's sheer quality, combined with that deep tournament experience they gathered during their insane 2022 semifinal run, should honestly overpower the hosts. We're predicting a 2-0 victory for Morocco here. They're just too clinical. Canada's gonna put up a real fight for sure, but Morocco's midfield dominance, that's gonna be the deciding factor.
Okay, moving to an absolute blockbuster. This match is destined to be pure, unadulterated football cinema. Mexico hosting England at the notoriously hostile Estadio Azteco. I mean, this is the pinnacle of the sport, right? The exact kind of matchup we wait 4 long years to see. The atmosphere is going to be incredibly hostile for the visiting English side.
So it all comes down to a brilliant tactical chess match. Can Harry Kane, a man on an absolute mission, show up in the big moments and actually silence that crowd? And think about the massive tactical dilemma resting on Thomas Tuchel's shoulders right now. Does he tell his England squad to go gung-ho right out of the gate to rattle the hosts and quiet the fans? Or do they play it safe against a Mexican team that, let's not forget, boasts the flawless 0 goals conceded defense so far in the tournament?
This tactical stalemate really points to a nail-biter. We're projecting an incredibly tense 1-1 draw after 120 minutes. But when it goes to penalties, man, there's just this belief that Mexico's mystic home aura at the Azteca will push them over the edge. The prediction has Mexico advancing to the quarterfinals, edging past England 4-2 in the penalty shootout.
In rounding out our host nations, the USA is on a serious revenge mission against Belgium. Remember that brutal 5-2 thrashing they took back in March? Yeah, they haven't forgotten. But Mauricio Pochettino has a headache. He's got to navigate this without a suspended striker, Folarin Balogun. Instead, they'll be relying on the sheer speed and channel running of Haji Wright. On the flip side, Belgium is bringing massive firepower. You've got Kevin De Bruyne, Youri Tielemans, but their midfield combination severely lacks defensive capabilities, and you better believe the US will be looking to exploit exactly that.
Now, the biggest danger for the US defensively is the physical mismatch. If Romelu Lukaku physically isolates veteran defender Tim Ream, it could be a really long day. Seriously, Lukaku might look at Ream and say, "Barbecue chicken." But if the USA can somehow bypass that massive threat and aggressively attack Belgium's wide-open, defensively fragile midfield, they are actually predicted to pull off a thrilling 2-1 victory and advance.
Moving right along to Section 2, the European heavyweights.
First up in this heavyweight category, we've got France taking on Paraguay. Now, Paraguay achieved immortal status back home by stunning Germany on penalties in the last round. They defended so valiantly. But let's be real. Facing a deeply elite French squad, we're talking Mbappé, Dembélé, Olise in the absolutely scorching heat of Philadelphia. That is an entirely different beast. The sheer physical toll from that Germany game is going to be a massive factor for Paraguay.
So, despite Paraguay's heroics, their heart, and undeniable grit, France's overwhelming attacking depth and rock-solid defense are just going to be way too much. We predict France will comfortably end the Cinderella run with a dominant 3-0 win, just rolling their way into the quarterfinals as they hit their true tournament stride.
Then we've got the Iberian Derby, Portugal versus Spain, and the tactical blueprint required for Portugal here is just fascinating. Spain is playing incredibly well right now, totally thriving on this all-out attacking style directed by Pedri and Dani Olmo. So for Roberto Martinez to actually beat Spain, he absolutely has to abandon his typical slow, possession-heavy tactics. Portugal's key to victory is utilizing lightning-quick wing-based transitions. They need to exploit the rapid pace of Rafael Leao and Cristiano Ronaldo on the counter. If the midfield steps up, they have a shot.
This tactical clash of styles honestly promises absolute fireworks, because both of these teams have massive attacking threats, but also pretty glaring vulnerabilities in their defensive transitions. This one is predicted to end as a thrilling 2-2 draw. In the end, though, Spain's Unai Simon is tipped to become the hero in a dramatic penalty shootout. It sends Spain through and hands Portugal a truly heartbreaking exit.
Next up, Section 3, South American Giants tested. 4. Believe it or not, that is how many times Brazil has played Norway, and they have never beaten them. A 0-win record across 4 historical games. That adds a massive psychological hurdle to an already incredibly tense knockout clash against a very dangerous European opponent.
Tactically speaking, Carlo Ancelotti faces a serious dilemma here. Brazil's midfield has been surprisingly underperforming, and they desperately need to step up to protect a defense that is going to absolute war with Norway's monster striker, Erling Haaland. The battle between Brazil's center backs and Haaland is going to be generational stuff, but it really all hinges on whether Brazil's midfield can actually gain control against a super organized Norwegian setup.
You should expect a very tight 55-45 type of battle. However, Brazil is predicted to finally break their European knockout curse. The projection is a narrow 2-1 win for Brazil, mainly courtesy of their lethal wide play. We're expecting goals from Vinicius Jr. and honestly, potentially a clutch moment from Endrick coming off the bench to seal the whole shebang.
Meanwhile, Argentina against Egypt gives us the ultimate battle of national icons, Lionel Messi versus Mohamed Salah. Now, Argentina looked surprisingly shaky defensively against Cape Verde, and honestly, their legs looked a little tired. Egypt, equipped with Salah and the incredibly dangerous transition play of Omar Marmoush, are absolutely going to look to sit back, absorb the pressure, and strike incredibly fast on the counter.
But while Egypt definitely poses a real transition threat, the midfield disparity between these two is just too vast. Egypt's midfield hasn't been properly tested yet in this tournament, and they are about to run straight into a buzzsaw. Argentina's superior midfield depth and control, combined with Messi's incredible tournament form, are predicted to eventually dictate the tempo, leading to a very professional 2-0 victory for the reigning champions.
Finally, Section 4, the cinematic wildcards. This right here might just be the hidden gem of the entire round.
We're talking about Colombia versus Switzerland, an absolute clash of extremes. On one side, Colombia boasts arguably the best defense in the entire tournament, anchored by an unreal Davinson Sanchez. But they're incredibly wasteful up front. They create tons of chances, but just keep missing them. That contrasts sharply with a highly efficient, clinical, though maybe a bit unflashy, Swiss machine that capitalizes on practically every single chance they get through players like Ondoy and Embolo.
This matchup is incredibly tight. It essentially comes down to who is more clinical on the day. The prediction points to a grinding 1-1 draw, with Switzerland ultimately holding their nerve to win on penalties. And if they do pull that off, they would secure back-to-back knockout stage wins at the World Cup for the first time since 1938. I mean, that would be an absolutely monumental achievement for the Swiss side.
So, looking at our final bracket overview based on all these tactical predictions, here are the 8 teams surviving: Morocco, Mexico, the USA, France, Spain, Brazil, Argentina, and Switzerland. So what does this all mean? Well, it means the quarterfinals are going to be absolutely legendary. Who do you think will pull off the biggest shock in the next round? Let us know. And remember, please like, subscribe, and share Football Flash Live channel for more updates, because every single viewer matters to us. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you for the quarterfinals.